Oh wow. Okay, so your underlying energy here is the Temperance card, and that is the Knight of Wands. Okay, so there was a period of time where you were probably like exhausted, really ready to give up on the situation, and then you just kind of decided to just focus all of your energy inward, focus all of your time and energy inward, because honestly, right, who has the time to be dealing with people that don't really, they haven't been putting in the work, same amount of work as you have. That's kind of what I was getting the impression of. It was like somebody's been doing a lot of effort, putting in a lot of effort, putting in a lot of work. But the situation that came up first was judgment. So there's some sort of call to action, something that's brought to your attention that really requires you to act on something. Especially since there was this, this kind of feeling that something has died, something was over. You know what I mean? Something just kind of was put to, I think somebody thought that this situation was over, like something was just dying, and then all of a sudden, right, this new opportunity has come up to kind of, I don't know if necessarily give it a second chance, because usually judgment, it does talk about giving second chances. It does talk about a second time around, only because you know only because there's something that you've learned greatly in the cycle of the cycle going through that gives you the option to give it either a second chance, another shot. But there is something here with it regarding this person that you guys have just been focusing on yourself mostly. Like, I don't know if this is the person's fault, but I do know that, I mean, there's nobody at fault, right? There's no such thing as blame. There's no need in playing the blame game. But one thing that's for sure is that there was some sort of imbalance at first that needed to be sorted out. Most importantly, like, it's just, there's no harmony. There was some things out of balance. Because the reading is about harmony. It's about balancing things out. It's about having some sort of peace. Now, the heart of your reading is justice. Justice talks about balance. It talks about balancing the scales, of course, like I said. It talks about, corrections, mending, settling things, because justice can also indicate marriage as well as divorce, right? So I don't want to go there with the whole divorce and divorce and marriage thing, especially since we don't have the prime card for marriage, which is the Hierophant. So what you do have, though, is this intense, like, karmic energy, some sort of balancing that it's needed. And it's like, what's crossed here is the Three of Wands. It's almost like you don't know what to expect regarding this. I think the need for this situation, there's a need for this situation to be balanced out. This is a very big reading because of all the major arcana. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 major arcana out of 9. Okay. Now, it's almost like you don't know necessarily what to expect from this other person. I think it's kind of been out of whack for a long time, so you kind of just don't know. You've been focusing on yourself a little bit more. I think as well, I think you may not be expecting anything to come out of this. I think you just know that there's some things that just need to be hashed out. Maybe you guys feel like you deserve an apology, but you don't even expect that from this individual. Wow, that's messed up. I feel like most importantly, though, there's just something that needs to be balanced out for a lot of you guys. And I don't know, it's almost like you guys lost your enthusiasm with it. You lost your expectations with it. You don't even expect anything. Now, in the past, you have the Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune talks about a second time around, second chance, second opportunity with somebody. And I feel like for some of you guys really been like, you guys have really started over with somebody that you've already known. Or maybe, you had a new opportunity in a relationship with someone new, that you pretty much had better, you had a perspective that you could have used, that you've used, that you didn't have beforehand. Like, if you had a relationship before this situation, that means you pretty much use what you learned from that last experience to help you with this situation. But even that turned into a situation with the devil. With, when I say that, I mean pretty much you guys feel very trapped, stuck in a situation. You probably even resorted back to old habits and behaviors, right? And it's like it just feels trapping. It doesn't feel very healthy in a relationship, to be honest with you. And it's really weird that the Three of Wands is crossing. Why is the Three of Wands crossing? The Ace of Swords. Yeah, you don't know what to expect. You don't know what to expect right now. And it's, yeah, I mean, I get that, because if things have just been out of whack, out of balance, somebody's probably been very codependent as well in the situation. It's kind of hard to determine what's going to happen, what isn't going to happen. And it's like, I think it's just kind of like feeling like you don't have a lot of options, you don't have a lot of choices around you at this time. And it's not the case, right? Because the devil does talk about, yeah, like there's some things, there's some habits, there's some behaviors that may be that may not be very beneficial to you at this time, but that doesn't mean you have to go along with it. And I think that's the thing, right? Like, it's just like, you don't have to go along with it. You don't have to you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. And if this is a situation in which you don't really want to deal with, or you don't want to do, then this is something that you just kind of have to, like, you know, this is probably why the judgment card did come out, because it's like, this isn't for you. Why is the devil coming up in the present? Why is the devil coming up in the present for Aries? This six, yeah, okay. Somebody's just been putting in too much work. Somebody's been putting in too much work. Yeah, the balance situation has to do with codependency. Somebody is being very codependent in this relationship at the moment. And it's just like, it's easier for this person to do it by themselves. It kind of gives me the feel. But it's like, should you be doing it by yourself though? Probably not. And at the same time, it's messing up this balance. And it's like, you don't know when it's going to be fixed. Well, if you continue to constantly take care of things on your own, you can expect it never to be fixed, because you're not making the person accountable. Because justice also is not just about correcting the wrongs, mending situations, settling stuff, and this some sort of imbalance. It's also making people accountable for their actions. By you not doing something that they're supposed to be doing, or by not, cutting the boundaries because you get impatient, so you just kind of, you rather do it yourself. Like, if you just make that other person do what they're supposed to do, that's making them accountable for their actions. And that's what justice is all about too. It's making them accountable for their actions. And that's the situation here going on now with the devil and the Six of Pentacles. Somebody's not being accountable for their other half of the relationship. Somebody's not doing their 50, and it has to do with somebody that's overindulgent, or someone that's going overboard and taking care of the other person's responsibilities in the relationship. And I think this is why the Hermit's coming up in the heart of the underlying energy of your reading right now. It's because, like, right now the focus should be on you. The focus should be on what you need to be taking care of, right? Taking care of your 50, and then leaving the other person to do their other half. If they can't do that, then that is your call to action. That is your thing that you need to figure out, whether or not this is something that you can continue or not. But other than that, stepping in and taking care of things, and when they're not doing anything at all to kind of compensate or whatever, that is why you can't expect things. Like, you're in a place of, like, you're waiting for some sort of new perspective to come through, some sort of something, but you don't know what to expect to come from it, because honestly, you're just kind of doing a lot of this work for this individual instead of letting them take accountability for the actions that they need to be taken care of, right? Or somebody else in your relationship is taking care of all the responsibilities, and it's making you feel kind of like incapable of putting in your 50 or something. You know what I mean? But I feel like you're doing too much, Aries. I feel like somebody's taking care of everybody, and they shouldn't be doing that anyway. Because in the future, you have the High Priestess. Somebody starts to get quiet and starts pulling away and starts getting all secretive. Somebody just stops talking. Someone stops giving altogether. And I feel like that's you. Like, you get tired of it. You get tired of doing things because you feel like you're entitled to it. But in actuality, to be honest with you, you're not making them accountable for doing what they need to do. If somebody is doing too much in the relationship, be quiet and being passive at the same time, that's a good thing in a way. but it's a shock, because it's a shock to the system, because the person is used to this. The devil is not like somebody's like buying. It's not like a new thing. It's bondage, exciting. No, it's just something that someone became very comfortable with, especially with the Empress being your external energy. Somebody got extremely comfortable with how things have been. So to be just automatically, just be passive all of a sudden, like, I mean, it has its effects and its defects, but especially if you want this relationship to work, there has to be some sort of correction regarding this sort of dynamic. The dynamic is off because somebody is comfortable. Somebody is comfortable with doing everything on their own, and someone is comfortable with letting that person do everything. So somebody stops doing stuff. Somebody holds back. Somebody just puts everything on hold. I feel like that's you. I feel like if you're the person that's giving too much and being codependent in the relationship at the moment, Aries, then yeah, you're going to probably feel like, you know what, I'm not doing this. I'm just going to stop. Because that's what it looks like. And I feel like in a way, you should focus on yourself. Just focus on your 50. Do the best that you can. But also, of course, make it clear to the individual. Because I think you're not communicating what you expect from the relationship as well. Hopefully you're not one of those people that just kind of expect people to know what you want rather than communicating that, because the Ace of Swords and the three of Wands can kind of indicate to me that somebody may expect something that they're not communicating. And it's like, how can you expect somebody that's not you to know what you expect? It doesn't make sense. It's completely crazy. You know what I mean? I know people that do that, and it's like, that is so, what are you doing? That doesn't make any sense. And I feel like there may be somebody around you that may be doing this to you, that may be like, that you have to kind of do what they expect even though they don't say it, or that you do that to someone else. Don't do that, because honestly it just messes up everything, and it gets this whole thing all jacked up for you and the other person. It makes you feel overburdened with responsibilities. It makes you, take care of everything, because they don't know what to expect, and you haven't communicated it because you feel like they should already know. That's an entitlement, and that's something that you don't necessarily have the right to claim. Like, you're not entitled to anything. You are allowed to want to have some sort of balance in your relationship. You're not entitled for the person to just figure it out. You have to communicate that too. Okay? And if the other person isn't doing that, they need to communicate that mess too. Because because the High Priestess is just nothing, stagnancy, nothing. It's not like the Hanged Man, but she shuts up. She doesn't do anything. She's just passive the whole way through. So you go from, doing all this craziness to being passive as hell. But it's like, okay, I get what you're doing. I understand why. But should you be doing that without explaining to the other person why you're not doing anything? Probably not. Because that's going to cause another problem. So your goal and ambition is the Ace of Wands. Starting something new. It's a new beginning, but with passion. With drive. With excitement. And I feel like that's good too. Like, you need that, because obviously this relationship has been more work than it has been anything else. Somebody has been taking care of somebody a little too doggone long. And I feel like that's got to be put to an end, first of all. And first and foremost, things need to be balanced out. How do you do that? By honestly focusing on yourself, maintaining your half of the relationship, communicating what your needs are, but then leaving it at that, right? Because you have to give the other person a chance to do something. But then, yes, it means being. It just means you doing you. High Priestess in the future. That's why I'm not saying like that's a bad thing, as long as you communicate what your needs are. Do communicate what you expect. Do communicate what you're no longer willing to do for this relationship. But then, you know what? That's up to them. Because if they mess that up, if they mess up a good relationship with you, then that's it. You know what I mean? They are not worthy. They're not worthy. They're just like, that's it. They got to be able to show what they're doing is worth, they gotta be on top of their mess. Like I said, the Empress and the external energy is showing that somebody is straight up being codependent right now. And with the Six of Pentacles and the Devil being up there, codependency is the big thing. You gotta take care of your stuff. You can't be just letting people do stuff for you. Like, it's not gonna help out. It's not gonna work, and it's gonna cause rifts in the relationship, and which is already probably doing. Because you feel trapped instead of feeling in love, and that's not That's not what love is like. That's not what love looks like. That's not what love's supposed to look like. Now your outcome, you have the 5 of Wands. Yeah, there's gonna be some fucking conflict. And I don't blame you, Aries. Like, if you just, like, fed up, you fed up. Like, the beast will come out. Like, you guys, like, have been doing too much. But of course, right? If they don't know what they're doing isn't cool, then just, you know, be easy. But the thing is, the conflict here may be internal turmoil because, you know, you don't want to cause any problems. You don't want to upset anybody. You don't want to do anything like that. Well, the situation is this: like, do you want to continue to do the thing that you're doing right now? Are you happy where you are? Because if you are, then never mind, right? Then never mind. Don't listen to me. You know, do what you want to do. But if you're not happy with it, then perhaps it is a good time to just go ahead and say something, communicate, talk about things, especially if they get on your doggone nerves. Codependency does not feel good. It feels good in the moment because you feel like you matter, but that's the thing. Like, you're gonna always have to. You're always gonna have to be like a slave in a way, in order to kind of like feel like you deserve love. And you don't deserve love like that. You know, you deserve love for being yourself, for being the amazing person that you are, not for what you can do for people. And that's the thing. That's where people get messed up, right? Because like people think that's okay to just treat people like, okay, let me use you for a moment, and then reward you for that. No, the reward is wanting to do it from the get-go. Wow. And that's how we should. And then that's what the same thing is too, right? We got to look at ourselves for this stuff. Okay, let's go for the first oracle card I pulled, which was from the Wisdom of the Oracle, and it's Fates. Fates talks about things happening for a reason. Things may turn out the way that they are. Wheel of Fortune in the past, by the way, because I think you guys entered a situation with a new perspective, a new way of doing something, and it led to this situation. There's no wrong way of doing this, by the way. There's no right or wrong way. It may be terrible, it may suck, but it may not. But it's not a bet, you know. There was no right or wrong way to pursue a relationship. This came out for a reason, to help you, to show you something about yourself. Everything happens to help us get to our higher selves, to get us closer to our higher selves, pretty much. Like I was saying, like it's really like to be the better version of ourselves. We have to interact with people or be involved in situations that may not feel like they're for our benefit, but in fact they are. So when the fates come up, it's like this is showing that this is happening for a reason, but you don't have to go down the road of this fates energy, right? Fates energy is really just saying that this was meant to happen to show you something. It's a karmic lesson that you have to overcome, which is why Justice and the Devil coming up in here. Both karmic energies showing that there is some sort of karmic situation that you have to play out. And this is an opportunity now to learn from it. Your destiny now is up to you. What do you want to take from the situation? Do you want to continue this? Do you want to change this? What do you want to do with it? Because right now, Fates is just saying that there are situations in line that may end up coming true based off of your karma. But it's up to you and where you decide your destiny will be to make this situation, that really makes the Fates so powerful. Like, whether you take the information, take the perspective out of this and move on from this, or to, change the dynamic of everything, or you continue to live this fated lifestyle. And you also have look to your inner strength. You're stronger than you realize, and that's the truth. That's the Devil card again. The Devil card is a card that is there to kind of make you feel disempowered. You're chained to some big dude with a goat face and another person. And it makes you feel like the world around you is at your not at your disposal, but more at your demise. But it is at your disposal. You have the opportunity and the power to get out of this situation, even if it feels very difficult, if it feels very impossible. I promise you this, Aries, you will find 100 in a million reasons why to stick into a situation that's not beneficial, that doesn't make you happy, that doesn't make you feel like the fire of life that you should be as an air sign. That's a fire sign, rather. But I'll tell you this, none of those reasons will be justifiable for you staying in a situation that makes you unhappy. Nothing. Well, I have to do this because of this. Oh, I have to do this because of this. Okay, those are all choices in which you chose to stay in the situation. Remember that. It's not a blame. It's not anything like that. You choose. At the end of the day, you're choosing the excuses over your happiness. And if that's not what you want to do, then power to you. Look to your inner strength and get out of it. Or just, not necessarily get out of it, but change the dynamic if you don't want to. I'm not saying break up with the individual. I don't think there's any breakup here, by the way. Nobody's breaking up, because the Five of Wands is all about progress. It's about getting, we always get to these really weird, rough patches in our lives where we have to kind of fight through it and get to a place where we can feel like we got it now. We're making progress in the right direction. We're going to hit rifts like this all the time. But this is like a make or break moment. You have to be able to stand your ground and be able to find your true self through the chaos, through the crazy. And that's the point with this looking to your inner strength part. You are stronger than you realize. You've gone through so much. Okay, you're the first sign, you're the baby, you're going to be affected first for a lot of things, depending on what you got going on. But you guys feel it. And you know what? It's about recognizing your strength and finding other solutions, finding other things. That's what the Five of Wands is all about. It's a change in your dynamic, but finding a different solution to your situation. And you do have the power to change your situation, but it's about recognizing that power and then taking control. Taking control of yourself, not the other person, but yourself. Because that's the only way you're going to change the situation. How you want things, you have to be that thing. I don't know if you've ever heard, if you want the world to change, you have to be the change. If you want the relationship to change, the dynamic to change, you have to change. Be the person that you want in your relationship. That's the same thing. And that comes from paying attention to yourself, focusing on yourself, loving on yourself. Some of you guys have been paying too much attention to yourselves in a way. Like perhaps you guys have been taking care of yourselves and not thinking about anybody else, just kind of using other people. Some of you guys out there, and I really don't think that's a lot of you. And I feel like that's very few of you, but that's the thing. If you guys have been doing that, then it's time to shake that up, because you're recognizing that situations now are not really very exciting, very appealing, and you may need to add a little bit more to that, right? Don't be so focused on yourself to the point where you're letting the relationship sink because you're not being considerate, okay? Be selfish, don't be inconsiderate, because those are two different things. You can be selfish and inconsiderate at the same time, right? Communicate with your partner, talk to them. Don't just allow them to, don't just expect them to know what's going on with you and what you need. But at the same time, don't do everything for someone else and not make sure that they're accountable for their actions, or make sure that they're accountable for their 50 of the relationship. That's how you get some stuff messed up. But then most importantly though, even if the things look a little intense, you know you can survive this, right? This is just a 5. It's intense in the moment, sure, but it's temporary, and it always gets to a solution. And that's why this Five of Wands is coming up in the external, in the outcome, because yeah, sure it's intense, sure it's arguing, sure it's conflict. You'll get to a solution. Don't worry. I have no doubt in my mind that you guys will find a solution. But being quiet, being distant, I don't think that's necessarily the way out. I do think you need to put yourself in a situation where you can receive more, Aries, so you can be able to give, be able to get more, but you have to talk about it. Got to make it known. You have to fight for yourself.